putting out Jumanji on the TV, and then I will be there.
That's okay. Okay, we are recording. So this is team call for Monday, September 17th. I cannot believe September is like halfway over. It's blowing my mind. I just have a few announcements for this week. Hopefully you are all aware of the fact that today Pumpkin Spice Vegan Shakeology launched in the US. That's FAQ 1031. It's obviously the first seasonal Shakeology flavor that has all the same benefits as Shakeology, and it will launch in Canada on October 11th. We were chatting about this back and forth in the Dream Dynasty team page today, and it crashed the internet. The website like totally went bonkers. Even I think it officially launched at like 10:15 Pacific time, so it was like 12:15 Central time, so a little bit earlier than what they anticipated. And I tried to log on right at 10:15 whenever I saw somebody post that it had launched, and it had already crashed. So I think I finally ended up getting my order in like at 2 something. It took me forever, and I just kept hitting refresh. So I did see a post in the Beachbody Champions page that they are almost sold out. So they might even be sold out at this point. I saw something in a page where they said that they were trying to get more inventory to see if they could like keep offering it. But anyway, so if you haven't got your order in, try to do that if they haven't sold out already. Otherwise, that's okay. I will say that I noticed that with promoting it on my Instagram stories specifically, and in the post that I made earlier this morning, I got a lot of new interest, like from people who have never been in a challenge group before, never purchased a challenge pack. And I felt like the pumpkin spice Shakeology conversation, like where they were asking, you know, what is Shakeology, this, that, and the other thing, led to some really good new conversations about challenge groups in general. So I was really excited about that. One thing that is kind of a weird situation that I kind of encountered today was that they wanted, like once we talked about the accountability group, the challenge group aspect of it and the workouts and everything, they can't get a challenge pack with the pumpkin Shakeology. So it's kind of like a weird, it was kind of a weird conversation to have where I was trying to figure out, you know, how to get them the best, you know, value for their dollar as far as the challenge pack is concerned, but then they wanted the pumpkin spice Shakeology. So without saying like, oh, you have to pay $160 and then another, you know, $70 for the pumpkin spice. So what I have decided to do that I feel like is kind of combating that issue a little bit, it's the only thing that I could think of to kind of get them still, you know, interested and plugged into a challenge group, but still get them the pumpkin spice Shakeology, is to just promote the fact that whenever my October group rolls around, if they get a challenge pack and they get in my October boot camp, I will mail them packets of the pumpkin spice Shakeology, kind of like, you know, as a welcome to the group sort of thing. They won't have the full 14-day supply, obviously, because I'm not going to buy all of my challengers a 14-day supply of the pumpkin spice Shakeology, but they would at least get to dabble in the flavor, but still not have to buy a whole pack. So anyways, just kind of heads up on that. If you're still having conversations about the pumpkin spice with people who have not purchased a challenge pack, it's just kind of a conversation that's a little bit more challenging to navigate. But if you have any questions about that, or if you have ideas on things that are working for you with those new customers, be sure to share it in the team page. Other than that, don't forget that the 2B Mindset certification materials are now available. FAQ 1081, that's obviously Beachbody Live's newest certification program. You get certified with the 2B Mindset for $99, I think, is the promo price. And you can also secure a spot in the Q&A session with Alana. You can go to 2bmindsetcertification.com for more info on that. And then finally, this is the last month to get $10 off the Lift 4 and Meste Moss challenge packs and completion packs. FAQ 7500 is the Lift 4 FAQ, and then 5222 is the Meste Moss FAQ. So that is all I had as far as announcements is concerned. what I really just wanted, like I posted in the team page, what I really just wanted this call to be about is kind of just like a reiteration and kind of a tag on to the National Wake Up Call this morning. Totally okay if you haven't listened to it. I hope that most of you had, just so that the conversation kind of makes a little bit more sense. But if you haven't, just be sure you go back and listen to it and watch it, because I thought it was a really good one. And I think, you know, for some of the coaches that I've been talking to specifically, one that's really relevant, regardless of where you're at in your coaching journey, you know, I think that it's so easy, specifically as a new coach, conversations with, you know, some of my newer coaches that I've been having a lot recently is something that was even mentioned on the National Wake Up Call this morning. You know, I'm inviting to a challenge group, or I'm inviting people and I'm talking to people, but nobody's interested. Is kind of something I've been hearing from a lot of my newer coaches. And then, you know, from coaches who maybe have been in the business a little bit longer, not even that long, but maybe, you know, are pushing for bigger goals, or, you know, whatever the case may be. It's just that I'm having trouble balancing everything. I'm kind of struggling. I don't want to take a step back, but I don't know how to kind of like work all of this in, so on and so forth. And a lot of that was covered in the National Wake Up Call this morning. And I thought that she covered it in a way that was really, like Mallory mentioned in our, I'm pretty sure almost everybody that is on this team call right now is in our Diamond group. Mallory mentioned this in her live video, I think it was yesterday, in that group, about how, you know, we have this style of just like kind of our team vibe, and our culture is not this like super demanding, like structured, you need to do X, Y, and Z in order to be successful, and you need to prove that you're doing these things. But it's just kind of a more like, here's what I'm doing, here's what's working. And that's kind of, I think that's why I really kind of took to the National Wake Up Call this morning, is because I felt like that's kind of how Nicolette approached it. And, you know, she talked specifically, I don't have any notes in front of me, but some of the things that kind of stood out to me that I feel like is really relevant with a lot of newer coaches on our team is, you know, and something that I struggle with as not only a coach, but as a leader, is giving your new coaches, specifically everybody on this call who's building a team, giving your new coaches ownership, like allowing them to take ownership over their business really early on in their journey, but still having kind of like this internal conflict and battle of like wanting to help them enough to ensure that they succeed. I don't know if that's something that that you guys maybe struggle with, but I know it's something I've always struggled with, is like, I want you to set your goals, and I want you to realize that you're the CEO of your business, and you don't ever have to feel like you have to answer to me, or you know, whatever the case may be, like take ownership over this. But I never really knew how to give that ownership without feeling like I was being totally hands off. And so I really loved the steps, kind of the timeline, I think is what she called it, that Nicolette talked about in the National Wake Up Call, how where in the first 30 days, you know, she tells her new coaches, whether, you know, she gives them the new coach training, tells them to go through new coach training in their back office, you know, start inviting, start sharing your journey, start, you know, helping a few people, just working through your warm market. And then, you know, by months 2 and 3, they have kind of another benchmark to hit. By month 4, they're talking about the coaching opportunity and things like that. And so I took lots of notes during the National Wake Up Call, because I felt like that kind of put some structure to that giving your new coach ownership sort of thing. And something that I've been struggling with a lot lately, because I mean, here's the thing, and she even mentioned this in the call. She said that, you know, going all in with this business and making this business what we know it can be is not for everybody, right? Like not everybody wants the same thing out of this business. But she was specifically speaking this morning to those coaches that wanted to level up, like she referred to it as. And like I said, almost everybody on this call is, that's on this call live, is in the Diamond Push group. So it's obviously, you know, you're obviously in this business because you want something more out of this business that you know is possible. And so, you know, really taking ownership over that, and really, you know, whether you work from a tracker, or you just know the daily business activities that you should be doing on a daily basis, but you find yourself kind of coming up with, you know, excuses, whether it's allowing life to get in the way, or you know, whatever the case may be as to why you're not doing those things. And I talked a little bit, for those of you that are in our Diamond group, about this earlier, if you haven't watched that video, about how whenever I decided that I wanted this business, for me, the number one step was just changing my mindset around what that looked like. And so, I mean, think about, for those of you that work out of your home, if you have a 9-to-5 job outside of your home, If your kids are in extracurricular activities, or if you take your kids to school or pick them up, or if you are involved in anything that requires like a set time from you, of your attention, of your time, of yourself outside of the house on a daily basis, those things are non-negotiables for you, right? Like you have to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning, or you have to take the kids to karate at 7 p.m., or you have I don't know, whatever. I'm running out of breath because I'm pregnant. Whatever you have going on, right? Like those are those things on your calendar that don't, like you work your life around those things, right? Like, okay, we have karate at 7, so dinner has to be done by 6:30 so that we can walk out of the door at 6:45 and be there at 7, or whatever the case may be. Like there's just those things on your planner, figuratively, non-figuratively speaking, whether you use a planner or not, that you work the other pieces of your life around. That is what this business became for me whenever I decided that I wanted to take ownership over this and become my own CEO. Those daily business activities that I knew I needed to get done every single day, no matter what, were written down in my brain on paper on my planner as non-negotiables. They were like appointments. You know how early on in your fitness journey, your coach or somebody has probably mentioned or said to you that you need to schedule your workout until you get into a routine and a habit of making exercise a part of your daily routine. Like you need to schedule it every single day like it's an appointment or a meeting on your calendar. Same thing with our business activities. And that was like the first thing for me. Like I was sitting down earlier this morning and I was thinking back to what was the thing that changed whenever I decided that I wanted to take ownership? And that was it. I had been in the business for a full year before I decided that I wanted to go diamond. And that was the one thing that changed, was I told myself like, okay, like no excuses. You don't have any excuses. You have to wake up at 3, or you don't have class tonight, so you can work tonight. Like these are the things that you have to get done no matter what. And so that is something that I wanted us to focus on specifically, is those of you that want to level up in this business, really focusing on what your mindset looks like as far as the business is concerned. You know, how do you think about the business? How do you think of yourself as the CEO of your own business? I used the example earlier in our group about, you know, like if you owned a restaurant, if you just opened up a brand new restaurant, you can't just like open the restaurant up on a Tuesday and then wake up Wednesday and decide that you don't want to open the restaurant. Like you could, but your business is probably like, you're probably gonna have to close your restaurant because it's not gonna work out for you. Do you have that same mentality about the business if you are wanting, you know, to grow and build this business in that sort of way? And that's just something I just kind of wanted to plant that seed and have us kind of think about that, and maybe just super informally kind of like talk through that. Or you know, what are some things that you feel like, one thing that I feel like our team is really good at is kind of helping each other work through those things, whether it's like co-leading groups together, you know, based on commonalities and interests that that each of us have with each other, or, you know, finding just success partners and little success pods within our teams to kind of help each other and to kind of play off of each other's strengths and help each other, you know, where we can. And so, you know, if there's pieces of that mindset shift, or maybe you're there, like maybe your mindset's there and you're just not seeing like the follow through with your business. Like I just kind of wanted to open up the floor and kind of do some Q&A and talk through those things to see if we could kind of just mastermind a little bit and help each other. So I'm going to stop talking. And even if it's not even relevant to what I just said, you guys can just feel free to unmute yourselves and say whatever you want, and I'm going to get an inhaler.
And so, yeah, I would love to just kind of get your guys' thought processes on my mindset and like where I've been spending my energy. And so that's what I finally figured out, I would say like in the last 2 weeks, with both of our national wake up calls and then with some of the training in our diamond group too, which I love. PS, you guys, it's awesome. But for me, I think that so back history, I started a new patient care job, and fall semester is my busiest semester for teaching in a physical therapy program. And so I had not done this business with those additional little pieces, little nuggets. And my husband coaches swimming, and I announce his swim meets, and right, like we all have life. So I knew that it wasn't necessarily a time thing, because I've really worked at this business whenever I've been treating patients and teaching students and whatever. So I knew that that was not it. And so I just spent some more time thinking and being more introspective, and like I said, listening to trainings and what have you. And honestly, I figured out it was my energy. And what I mean by that is I was showing up. I was, making my social media posts. I was making my invitations. I was reaching out and starting new conversations. But when I went back and looked at them, you guys, I wouldn't have talked to me either. It was it was so apparent to me that I was doing it, but I was like going through the paces. And it was not, and I really honestly think it was because I was spending so much energy on so many other areas of my life that were brand new and different, that's why I was like, okay, I'm doing this, and it was authentic. It's not that it wasn't authentic. You could just tell that it wasn't the same amount of excitement that I normally would have whenever I was starting conversations or having conversations. And so figuring that out and just deciding that I get the opportunity to choose where I spend my energy was like amazing. And I think that solidification kind of came to me, honestly, with some windshield time over the weekend, like just traveling, and it was just me, and I had some time to think. And it was crazy that in this little pocket of time this morning that I would normally spend anyway, so like that was no different as far as pockets of time, but I had like 4 people respond. Now, we're not all the way there yet. Like I have share carts out, whatever, but I mean, it had been like crickets for a little while. I'm like, where is everybody? Why is no one excited about this? I'm excited. Well, I was excited. I am excited, but I don't think I was actually putting all of my energy in. So it was kind of like I was checking a box, but not necessarily like doing it with the normal passion that I usually have. And it was totally unintentional. I really think it was just because I was pooped. I was just tired from where I was putting all my other energy in all these other new areas that required so much of my just thinking as well.
Yeah. So I really love that you brought that up, Farrell, because I feel like that. So I almost said I suffer from the same thing. I encountered the same thing. Honestly, at multiple points throughout my business with, not necessarily like the content that I was putting out on social media and getting challengers, but the excitement that I was running my challenge groups with, and not being able to get my current challengers, customers, and clients interested in coaching. And I was totally, so you know how like, depending on how you run your groups, a lot of us do like scheduled posts in our groups, like a morning motivation or maybe a daily task or however you run your groups. And so I was running my groups, and I would go in before the group even started, which is why I kind of do this a little bit differently now. And I would schedule all my posts for the month. And then like, that was it. I wasn't providing any extra content. I wasn't sharing recipes. I wasn't like doing videos where I was, like things that I saw my challengers struggling with. I wasn't paying attention to that and then addressing that, with videos or, content, or I wasn't catering my content to those things. And it was kind of the same thing that you said. It was a national wake up call or a training video or something in the Beachbody Champions page that I watched the first time that this happened. And it was all about how to run, I don't remember the exact phrase of the video, but it was like how to run like kick butt challenge groups or something, or how to ignite fire in your challenge groups. And so I watched that video and I was like, that's why nobody wants to coach with me. Like my challenge groups are so boring. There's just like the same post that goes up, or different posts, but same time every day. I log my workouts and I log my shake, but I'm not like creating, like you have that community, and the interest in the coaching opportunity is going to come from being built in a challenge group. And that was the piece that I was missing. And like I said, there's been several points throughout the course of my business where I feel like I've done that. Like my energy is just spent elsewhere, whether it's like me helping a group of these specific coaches hit a really big goal. So I kind of lose sight of my challenge group, because we kind of have like all of you have probably figured out now there's just like these different facets to the business, right? It's like our own journey, our own story, sharing that, getting challengers, running our challenge groups, recruiting to coaching, and then coaching our coaches, right? And so I was really I couldn't figure out how to utilize my energy the best way in all of those areas, along with like life, which is kind of the point where you were at, where it's like life is happening and all my energy is here. So I'm just showing up because I have to, kind of thing. And that's what I was doing in my challenge groups. And the number of coaches that I was recruiting every month and adding to my team, like, was totally indicative of that. And so I think you just brought up a really good point. Like, when you feel like something's just wrong, like you don't know what it is, you don't know if you're like, if you're not being consistent enough, but then, okay, yes, I am. So that's not it. Now what? Now let me go back and look at the story I'm sharing, or the way that I'm trying to talk to people, or the messages that I'm sending, or the objections that I'm getting, and just really kind of evaluate like where that tweak can happen, and then try to make a tweak, and maybe maybe that'll be right and you'll figure it out, and maybe it won't be. But I think that is kind of the most important thing.
Can I piggyback on that? So I kind of like Farrell was like stagnant for a minute, and like I think we all do that, where we're all kind of doing the same thing. And I think I was kind of on autopilot in all areas of the business, of like my posts are getting too similar, my like, okay, like this works, I'm just gonna like copy and paste and copy and paste and copy and paste, and then like the response to each of those pastes goes like down every time. And I think the same thing was happening in my challenge groups, where out of ease of use or laziness or procrastination, I was like reusing a lot of my same content from my challenge group guides that I created, and reposting at the same time, like Beth had said, and I think realizing that this challenge group I started today, the reason I even did it is because I was on autopilot. I'm like forced myself to create something that was very specific and like almost themed, so that it forces me to do something different, and it's like, it's similar but different. Like I'm using some of the same content, but it's like very specifically, like in addition to what I would normally do, I'm focusing on like, I'm running an elimination challenge group. So basically, like an additional post every day will specifically target like eliminating something negative that you don't want in your life, like whether it's like a bad behavior, whether it's a negative thought, whether it's something. And regardless of like whatever your theme is or my theme is moving forward, I feel like I need to have that to fully engage. Because when I do that, I'm paying a little bit more attention, which is what we need. And that sounds terrible, but like we have so many coaches in my group now that I was struggling staying engaged because I don't have a lot of my, like half of the group is my girls. And then I have, 4 other coaches co-leading, and then their girls are in it, and then they're posting and they're on the schedule. And I would almost lose track of like whose girl is who's, like what's going on. I don't remember, and it sounds terrible, but like I'm so used to seeing all of these names over and over that I'm like getting confused of like, wait a second, is this my girl or is this Jenny's girl, or is it like, I just don't know. So I restructured it specifically. And then, there's so many coaches that I think I have a lot of new coaches on my team that I, want to help and support and make sure that they're fully comfortable, and also that their girls are in engaging challenge groups. And I think, this round we kind of had, I think a lot of our girls like kind of went off and then came back because it was like, okay, they're feeling the same way of like their group maybe got stagnant and they need to re-energize. So we all kind of came back together in this one and are doing something different. Like I have 3 girls scheduling posts, and then I have Nicole doing something specific with food prep, and I have Jenny doing something specific with a different thing, where like we're all focused on something so that we're all in there doing something different, as opposed to just like rah-rah cheerleader. And I don't know. I just think like maybe that's my way of changing it up. And so I know like Beth, you posted something like your next group is like holiday something. And I'm like, that's great, because then I can like focus and log in every day and change it and like focus on like Halloween or something, where I'm like, I'm changing the name of all of these challenge groups and like kind of theming them, but like I wasn't. I was just changing the name and like doing it again.
Yep, love that. I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind for those of you that, whether you're running your own challenge groups now or not, but I have always found that, like right now I'm kind of doing what Mallory's doing. Mine's a self-love September boot camp. So I created like, instead of a daily task for every day, every every noon post is specific to, focusing on self-love. And that really does help kind of keep your challenge groups engaged. But if, like how Farrell was saying, her energy kind of shifted from even the content that she was even putting out in general, right? Not necessarily the challenge groups. And so I think that that's really important too. Like Mallory said, she felt like, her posts were looking the same. And just, I think that not only will it hopefully get you out of that slump in your business, if that's what you want to call it. But I think a lot of growth, comes from that too, right? Like taking a step back and kind of thinking like, okay, why is my challenge group not staying engaged? Or why is nobody interested in my challenge groups? Like, am I sharing the message that I want to share? Am I writing my posts in a way that would speak to me if I was reading it? So just constantly, I just think it's that constant. Farrell, what is your, what's your acronym?
Oh, my SII, your strength, your area to improve, and your insight.
Yes. Like that's totally that. Go back and watch that team call if you guys haven't seen it. Like that's totally it. And we have to constantly, or we get an autopilot and then we get comfortable, right? And no growth comes from that. So I think that that's really important too.
I also, Farrell said something about shoot, I don't remember what you said, but it triggered my thought of like, I feel like I've like posted about this 5 times now, but like this tracker thing that we've posted that I saw that like it turned me off of our diamond group a little bit. And it wasn't even like looking at these trackers of like, oh my gosh, I know I'm supposed to be doing this. But it was like Beth was saying, like it's my mindset of looking at it. And what I was realizing as like I think I saw that tracker and like the next day I listened to the Melanie Mitro's podcast about time management, which I'm like, I think I've listened to that literally the same podcast before, but I was doing my makeup and like didn't stop it to skip it to go to the next one or whatever. So I was like, fine, whatever. And I just listened to it for the second time. And like, sometimes you just hear things at the right moment. But for me, I feel like this last, even like, I think Nicole and I talked about this of like getting burnt out and, time management is my way of like trying not to get burnt out, just as it's my way to like stay active, So I think when I'm looking at that tracker, I think I talked about timing it. What ended up happening to me at the end of the day is I was getting so anxious because I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I even do today? Like, I feel like I got nobody signed up. I didn't do any of this. And then I'm like going through that tracker and I'm like, oh man, I did do a lot of that stuff, but like I'm missing these 5 things. So I kind of started backing up and like checking my tracker at noon and going through. And then I turn my phone. I don't respond to anybody anymore after 8:30. I just don't. It's like my family time. I turn off. It's helped me not get burnt out. It's helped like Phil not get annoyed at me when we're like watching Homeland and he goes to the bathroom and I like hop on my phone and I'm like, what? I can respond to like 3 people. Well, by the time you get back, it's fine. So I think it was like, and I'm doing it with like kid stuff where like a kid runs in the other room and I'm like, whoop, pick up my phone. So I've like been very intentional about time management. And like I know Nicole, like she is a stay-at-home mom, but in addition to that is homeschooling her kids. So like she's doing a lot of work. She's not sending her kids to school. She's creating, all of these plans for her kids and everything. So like even like finding that time management with like a full-time job and like always having kids and always whatever, like when do you get to turn it off ever, So I think for me, that tracker became my time management tool of figuring out like I can do this in this time so that I can turn it off for 4 hours and then do something for another 30 minutes and turn it off for 3 hours and then do something for an hour and put it away until the next day. And I think Melanie Mitro said the same thing, and it's totally true of like, listen, you're selling these people something that if they really want to do it, they'll say yes to you tonight at 9:00 p.m. or they'll say yes to you at 7 a.m. when you check your phone again. Like that's it. We're not selling them lip gloss. We're not selling them a purse. Like we are selling them something that they need to commit to and like put in a lot of work. That's it. Like, so it's not like they're going to run away. And so I think realizing that kind of, it's helped me have a little bit of perspective because I've stopped like responding to people immediately. I'm like, made it my time. I'm intentionally responding to them when I want to respond to them. And I'm not like, oh, they responded. I'm getting back to you right now. Like they know I'm going to respond. They see that I'm active. They know that I show up every day. So if I don't respond for 8 hours, they'll be fine. That's it.
I agree with that. I want to piggyback off of that really quick. And then Jenny, I just went back and read your question in the group, so I'll answer that really quickly too, and we can talk about that. I think it's so important for us to like be 100% in whatever we're doing, right? Like if it's wife mode, like 100% wife mode or spouse mode. If it's mom mode, like that's what we need to be doing. If we're working our business, like you're going to be better in each one of those individual areas when you're all in with that area at that moment. And so I think, yeah, I mean, time management is like, it's so pivotal for like not only your business, but just your life. And I'm sure for those of you that have been a coach for longer than like a millisecond, you know that whenever like the rest of your life is going great, like you feel good and you're not fighting with the spouse and the kids are behaving and like everything's going great, like you're more excited about your business and vice versa, right? Like when you just signed 3 new coaches and you're at Success Club 10 and it's only the 10th of the month and business is going great, like maybe your workout went a little bit better. And it all kind of, the way that the pieces of our lives like impact each other, even though they're like separate, is like so intertwined. And so I think that just remembering to give like all of yourself to whatever mode you're in at that time is so important. Jenny, I want to get to your question really quick because it's 8:30. So I think that your question was, for those customers who are interested in the 14-day trial, can you put them in a 14-day My Challenge Tracker app group? Absolutely, because whenever they get the free trial, they will have created a Team Beachbody account, which is all that you need to get an invite from the My Challenge Tracker app. So you can totally do that for sure, and you would just set the start and end dates of that group for the 14 days that you're gonna run it. Does that make sense? Do you have any more questions about that?
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been feeling like a lot of people want to try it because like my buddy's in school and he works and I'm in school and I work, but he's, I guess, not ready 100% to commit. I think he wants to, but there's people, with kids and they're just like, I don't know if I'll do it, so let me try this. But I don't feel like they're getting, like, they don't get the Shakeology for the 2 weeks, first of all. But I thought if they would get the actual challenge group energy, it would help a lot. So I was trying to think of a way I think I'm going to try to do a 2-week free group. I just need to, I need to get a guide ready that's kind of focused a little bit more on, I don't want to say selling, but
just promoting everything with a challenge pack and with a group.
Yeah.
I think that I'm going to make a note to do some digging, and I'll send to you or I'll post in the team page. I think that we might have like a guide that is tailored to something like that, where, like you can talk about Shakeology and you can post your Shakeology and share why you drink it, and also kind of do like little plugs about all of the components of a challenge pack and why it's like the everything you need to like live your healthiest life all in one kind of thing without like sounding salesy. I think that there is a guide somewhere I remember seeing that kind of caters to a free group like that. So I'll look for that for you, and that would save you a lot of time on Alicia. Yes, for sure. And I'll get you that. I'll just post it on our team page as a file if I can find it. And if I can't find it, then that would be a great resource for our team to have in general, because we're always running free groups and stuff. So yeah, I think that would be a really good idea. And I think that that's a good example of National Wake Up Call this morning. She mentioned like kind of speaking to the objections that we're getting. And so if you're finding that a lot of people are interested in that free trial because they're not, like they want to try it out or sample it because they're not ready, then I think, catering to that and hosting a 14-day free group where you can kind of, do some plugs about the challenge pack and hopefully get, some full-blown challengers out of it is a really great idea. And I think it's you listening to your audience. So I think it's a good idea for sure.
Okay, thanks. If you can't find it, I will work on something and post it for everyone to kind of look at and let me know about, improvements or add or take out kind of thing. And we can get one if you can't find it.
Perfect. Can you guys think of anything else? I thought this was super productive for sure. We should all share our challenge group guides too. Yeah, Whitney. So I actually made a note of that earlier whenever Mallory was talking about the content for the elimination group. And then I was actually on my desktop that I'm looking at. I have all of the graphics that I made for the Self-Love September group. And I actually pulled up my Google Drive because I have from last year whenever I ran my groups on my own, I have like an entire folder for each group that I ran. Like I have a Healthy for the Holidays one where I created like an entire holiday cookbook from Fixate recipes. And so I actually wrote that down earlier when Mallory was talking about that. I just forgot to mention it. I think that's a great idea. Even if we just, like we could create a Google Drive and, you know, have the link like saved as a file in our team page. And then it could be an editable, whatever, a Google Drive that you could edit. Anybody could edit it and access it, where we could just continue to upload, you know, like we could do little folders with the title of the group, and then whoever creates the content for that group can just put it in there. And I think that also that would make the process of this kind of getting out of autopilot, even for our new coaches to run groups. You know, we have the challenge group guide on the Dream Dynasty website, but that is just one guide. And if you have customers who I'm sure you're finding are rolling over group to group, like you can't, I encourage you to not use this exact same post every single time. That is really just meant for like this is your first group, like here's to make this a little bit easier for you. But if we could duplicate that with like these things that we do on a monthly basis or a seasonal basis, I think that would be a really great idea. So that is something that I think we should for sure work on. I think it would make everybody's life a lot easier. Even if like, you know, like even if I'm running a group during the month of October and Farrell's not in my group, she's running her own group with a couple other coaches, we could be using the exact same content because we're not in the same group. So yeah, for sure. I think that that's a really great idea. I'm working on creating my group that starts in October is going to be called Fit for the Fall, but I'm creating like a survival guide that will get people through like the holidays. So that's something that I'm definitely planning on sharing. But just anything like that you guys create, I'll work on setting up that Google Drive tomorrow. And then we can work on just, you know, as you create stuff, just throw it in there. Or like if we get, you know, if we don't find the 14-day free group guide, but if, you know, Jenny creates one and our team helps edit it, that can be thrown in there for anybody to use. I have lots of content for like free Facebook groups in general, like crockpot challenges or, and you know, stuff like that. So, and I think Mallory maybe did like a water challenge or something one time. So anyways, great ideas. I'm so glad that we did this. Do you guys have anything else? Thanks for bringing that up, Whitney. Okay, cool. Well, I'm sweating and I can't breathe, so I'm going to go now. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday, and I will get this recording posted in our team page, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.